You guys, I saw a flying cockroach on the subway. We live in a swamp. I hate it. I ran down that platform so fast, but then I kept my eye on it, and then I lost it, and I was like, well, now it's on me and in my mouth, obviously. Like, that there's no other place for it to be but on me, right? Like, it's on me right now. I think the Oregon locals would be like cockroaches. That's what I'd call the Rajneeshis.
Oh, yeah.
Because they came from out of nowhere in droves, and you couldn't get rid of them.
I've got some complicated feelings. My feelings on this are not straightforward.
All right, well, it's a cult, so we'll start there.
Girl, before we get to the episode, we just gotta let the people know more about the Patreon.
You guys, the staircase, I'm telling you.
I'm announcing it right now, you guys. We booked the hooker. We are interviewing
sex worker
Brent Walgamot. He's coming up in like episode 6 or something. He's the star witness for the prosecution. We booked him.
Is he the one where Michael was like, he said what?
I think that was a different hooker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Brent is very cool. He's got his own like Big Brother podcast.
Amazing.
We've been communicating on social media. He seems really fun.
Great.
And he's gonna spill the tea.
Let's do it.
You guys, it's gonna be live on our Patreon feed. If you want to see our other bonus content on our Patreon feed, for example, our interview with Asia McClain Chapman or
Rabia Chaudhry,
or our episode by episode coverage of Serial or The Staircase.
Or The Staircase. You guys, I cannot believe what I'm watching in The Staircase. I really can't. I don't, what is it? I don't know. I don't know what it is.
You guys, we're super obsessed with Michael Peterson's first wife, Patty, to the point where we laughed so hard in episode 3. I'm going to play a little piece of it at the end of this episode just for bonus laughs because I'm obsessed and I want everyone to hear it.
She's in a, what is she? Who is she? What? I don't know. I have no answers. I just have a lot of questions.
If you guys want to join our Patreon community, go to patreon.com/truecrimeobsessed or go to our website and click on the Patreon link.
Yeah, and you get all of it for $5 measly Weasley dollars.
And you get it all like right
away. You get all of it.
Yeah.
Like all of it.
Girl. We're doing it. We're here.
Wild, wild country.
Here we are. What on earth? I sat there with my jaw hanging open.
Right?
Yeah.
And is this your first time watching it?
Yeah, I had watched part of it. I gotta say, when I watched it the first time, I wasn't that into it, but watching it for this, I couldn't take my eyes off it. It's insane.
Yeah, I watched it when it came out, like, in 2 days.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, we have to do this,
yeah.
obviously. So it was fun to revisit my good friend Sheela.
I'm obsessed with Sheela. I'm 100% obsessed with her.
Yeah, man. She's, we'll get to some of the things she does. High-pitched voice. She's fascinating.
Yeah.
She's truly fascinating.
Everybody felt they were there at the beginning of the great experiment. Like we were the chosen people.
I'm here in one of the largest ranches in the Northwest. Today, it's Rajneeshpuram because a prominent Indian guru and his followers bought it.
Our vision was to create a community
based on compassion and sharing.
Bhagwan's agenda was simply to raise the consciousness of humanity. That was his goal.
America was land of promise. It was my conviction we will have no problems.
I don't think America has a place for these people.
Everyone in Antelope mistrusts Rajneesh.
I want that guru and his evil influence out of my city.
They're run by satanic power.
There is talk of vigilantes who may seek revenge on the Rajneeshis.
A bomb went off in the middle of the community.
More than 60 followers evacuated.
It was a catastrophe.
Mostly I'm just terrified.
If I didn't take measures to protect our community, no one else would do it.
We call upon the governor to disarm this cult's army now.
If the government does decide to get you, they're going to get you.
Who would poison a whole town?
The Rajneeshis set the stage for a big outbreak to influence the election.
They had no evidence.
They were facing immigration fraud, smuggling.
The Rajneeshis came this close to murdering a presidential appointee.
There is bias, there is prejudgment, religious discrimination, and this is democracy. I've had enough of it.
We were going to mount a full-scale assault.
We will be ready to protect ourselves.
I grown up understanding thou shalt not kill. What had happened?
There's darkness in all of us. Doesn't make you a bad person.
Girl, get us started, girl.
All right, so-
I never know where to begin.
Well, let's start at the beginning. It's a very good place to start. And we start with these locals in Oregon, in Antelope, Oregon.
Yes.
And we see them today, like right now, and they're like, let me tell you a story about a bunch of people who came and started a cult in our town and then tried to murder all of us.
Who would expect that, it could unfold the way it unfolded, you couldn't imagine that in your dreams initially, far scarier than anybody could have ever imagined.
The funny thing is, this movie is so welcome to Leith that, all of these people that went through this insane experience, reflecting on it now, are all doing it with, a slight grin. All of them still can't believe this shit happened.
They cannot believe it happened. And, it gets pretty scary. We'll touch on this a little bit in the second episode because we're doing the first two in this ep.
Yep.
They get scary, these the Rajneeshis.
They do. I gotta say, though, I think the locals get a little scary, too. We see everything from the locals' perspective, and then we see it from the Rajneeshis' perspective.
Everybody handled it wrong. Everybody did it wrong. Everybody did it wrong. So we learn it's kind of like the perfect location for a cult, because it's like a sleepy town with a lot of land.
Yeah.
So much land, but it's beautiful desert land. It's gorgeous.
Antelope was a quiet little spot in the middle of nowhere. Pretty much isolated from everything.
It's the kind of place, they say, where people go to enjoy their final years in peace and quiet. And they say, and enjoy a certain degree of being alone. And I have in huge letters, I would be the worst neighbor.
Oh, God.
I would be the person.
You'd hate it and they'd hate you. It would not.
I'd be like, does anybody want to come out and play? I'd be knocking on the door with wine at noon, being like, who wants to watch TV?
Yeah. Go to the post office. There's one.
The cafe.
The
idea that, nobody would want to hang out with me all day makes me literally terrified.
So then we learn, there's just a small article in the paper.
Right.
And it's there's some rich guy who bought a bunch of land. No. It's 80,000 acres.
Exactly.
And it's the Big Muddy Ranch. Just they're real straightforward.
Yeah.
Antelope, Oregon. The Big Muddy Ranch.
They bought the Big Muddy Ranch, which was about 80,000 acres. Steep, rocky, rolling hillsides. It is wild and rugged.
We're out there. There's nothing. Just a couple little old buildings and 60,000 acres of rocks.
To any normal human, it's completely uninhabitable.
Right. And then it just kind of cuts to again, flooding the area. All these people in orange.
Yeah, so we're seeing, this documentary jumps around a lot. If you haven't watched it, we are, the first sort of 15 minutes before we get, the opening credits is sort of just, in a nutshell, here's what happened.
Right. And then we go back to learn how they got to Oregon. But so we see, all of these people, and they're all in orange.
It is so, they all have, long hair.
I know. It's super culty.
It's very, you guys, they're all wearing the same orange. It's so
robes.
weird.
There's big things.
We wondered, who these people are. Why are they here? How long are they going to be here? What's this about?
Right away, they tried to have all the roads around them closed so people couldn't come in. And you started wondering, well, what is it that we're worshiping here? And it wasn't long before the Bhagwan came and we got to see what it was.
Do you call him the Bhagwan or Bhagwan?
Bhagwan.
Bhagwan.
Yeah.
Because it depends on who's talking.
Yeah, and they also call him Osho.
Osho eventually,
yeah.
Osho, whatever. So this is the guy.
He's the head cult guy.
He's the leader of this cult. And let me tell you, first of all of these women, one of which we'll meet in a little, hold tight. They're putting down a red carpet.
You guys, they are putting down this red carpet. It's a scene right out of The Devil Wears Prada.
They're cleaning it with a dustbuster.
A dustbuster. But they all have these weird smiles on their faces.
Oh, that dopey look with the eyes. And you're like, oh, God.
Jillian just made the crazy eyes. You guys.
They're going to kill me. But not too crazy.
Right.
Just crazy enough to scare you.
They also have, fake news crews. Mm-hmm. They have, fake paparazzi. You have it like a bar mitzvah. It's insane.
Right. And then this guy shows up in a fucking Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
And it's Bhagwan. And he is like exactly what you think like an Eastern world guru looks like.
Yeah.
He's got all of it. He's got the long white beard.
And the
He's got
long white robe.
He doesn't wear orange.
No.
All right.
But then you guys, all of a sudden we're seeing like truckloads of building materials.
Oh, yeah.
There were these rumors going around that his vision was a city of 50,000 in the desert somewhere. And the little deal got to be a big deal in just a matter of a week or two.
A lot of people were suspicious that they had a long-term plan. Nobody could imagine that it would be something of the scale that unfolded.
And then we hear like someone's like, yeah, well, you know, this is the biggest case of poisoning and immigration fraud and wiretaps. And I'm like, what about, where are the opening credits? I don't know what's happening.
Well, then they're like, but the real problem started when Sheela got here.
Sheela.
Ma Anand Sheela was the Bhagwan's personal secretary. So she was his spokesperson. She was, in my opinion, essentially running the whole commune.
You do not fuck with this woman.
Oh, no, she'll kill you.
Yeah. And like when you...
I'm not kidding. She will kill you. She's said it before. Don't test her.
When you see her now, you see modern Sheela. And I think it says she's in Switzerland or something.
It's this crazy reveal because it's like she's his trusted lieutenant. Don't cross Sheela. And she's got the crazy face and then she's got the mean face and then she's beaming up at him. And you're like, oh, my God.
It's all these old photos of her when she's like a teenager.
Right. And then she fled to Germany because she was wanted for murder and all this shit.
Right.
And then it's like this slow panning, like foggy forest.
Yeah.
And then it's like undisclosed location in Switzerland. And you see this older woman and you're like, is that? Oh my God. Oh my God, it's Sheela!
Yeah.
She's who's wanted for murder and a ton of other shit. But she's just talking to the camera.
With every crown comes the guillotine. Without a guillotine, you cannot wear the crown. And it was my fate. But why do one has to put somebody under guillotine? Because of their strength. They want to destroy their strength. And in spite of guillotine, they haven't killed me yet. They haven't killed my spirit yet.
I loved her.
Get that popcorn.
I know. Totally. Wait,
no matter where
say?
I go, I will always wear the crown.
Yeah. My favorite is when she says,
I have been accused of laundry list of heinous crimes. Of course, all of them attempted. Normally, I succeed in what I do.
Crickets, crickets, crickets. And the crew's like, okay. And then she goes,
that is a joke.
Sheela! And then she's basically like, look, I have nothing to lose, so I'm going to sing like a canary. And I'm like, get that popcorn. Let's go. Library is in session.
Somebody give her a cup of tea so she can spill
I
it.
mean, she's about to for 6 whole episodes.
So we go back to Bombay, India in 1968. This is like where Sheela was born and where she lived with her father.
Yeah, so we get her backstory, and she meets Bhagwan when she's 16, and her father introduced them.
Yeah.
And we're like in the Bhagwan's apartment. The amount of video footage that we get in this documentary.
Where does this footage come from? I have no idea. You guys, like, so much of this is just footage.
Right. So we get introduced to Sheela's view of Bhagwan Rajneesh, who's later known as Osho. Not confusing at all.
He's just the head weirdo, guys.
Yeah.
Just the head weirdo.
Sheela was like super in love with him and his hairy chest.
Bhagwan came from back like this, in his white shawl and a lungi and nothing underneath, with beautiful hairy chest. And then all I realized that tears were rolling through my cheeks. I saw this smile and these open arms. I just went into his arms and my whole head melted.
And she says instantly, she was like, I had my head in his lap. He had all of me. I could have died in that moment.
I know.
Where is your father?
That is exactly what I was thinking.
Your 16-year-old daughter's
I know.
head is in some creepy dude's lap,
I
and
know.
she's like, he has me. He has all of me. All right.
So next we meet some woman from Australia who I was so bored by the whole time.
Yeah, she ends up being a little bit like the voice of reason, where she realizes eventually, oh, this is a cult.
Yeah.
Right now, she doesn't get that. But she's in an undisclosed location. We don't know where she is.
And we don't know why she's in an undisclosed location.
Not yet.
I was totally bored by her. And she is the one who describes this thing called dynamic meditation that she goes and does with her husband.
Okay. So it's at this community center, stage 1. Chaotic breathing / hyperventilating. And this is supposed to awaken the serpent force, you guys.
Right. Breathe very fast and furiously in and out of the nose for the first part of the music.
I'm all for a good meditation, but making yourself hyperventilate is the opposite.
That's the opposite of meditation.
Like when you're hyperventilating, people aren't like, keep doing what you're doing. Everyone will tell you you're doing it. Great job. The anxiety is really at an all-time high, and that's what you want. You know, you want it to be, you want to feel like the walls are closing in and you can't breathe. That's exactly. No, people are like, are you having anxiety and hyperventilating? Right. Meditate. Count with your breath. Ground yourself. Put your feet on the floor. No, these people are like, just the more chaotic, the better.
Exactly.
That's stage 1. Stage 2 is called explode.
In the second part, we were to just let it all go. Scream and shout if we felt like it. Whatever came, we just let it out.
So you just let it all go and scream and cry and lose your shit. That's it. I didn't make up the rules. I'm just telling you. Stage 3 is called simply whoo. HOO exclamation point. And in stage 3, you just jump up and down and say who. Okay.
And then the third part, we were to put our hands over and jump up and down. And every time your feet hit the ground, say whoo.
None of this seems calming to me. None of this seems like it's going to get me energetically to a place where I want to be.
You guys, meanwhile, they're showing video of this. Like, we're seeing this in action.
You'll hear the who. You'll play it.
Yeah.
And then stage 4, finally, everyone shut the fucks up, and it's called silence, and then you just lay there.
Yeah.
Because you're exhausted. Right. And I don't know how long these stages are, but it's probably like you hoo for an hour, right. You cry and scream for another hour. So then we meet this guy. I'm just going to call him the lawyer.
Yes, I call him the attorney, and here's my note
Swami
to him.
Pramniran. He henceforth the lawyer.
Can this queen stop crying for 5 fucking seconds?
At first you see him, and I totally judged him by how he looked. I was like, he's going to be the voice of reason. He's going to be like, these fucking hippies don't know what they're talking about. He's the one who's crying, who still goes by his Rajneeshi name, and is just... like, don't talk shit about my cult. Like, how dare you? He is so defensive.
And he does this thing. He tells these stories as though he's reliving them.
Yes.
He does this, like, horrible actor thing where he just, like, stares off into middle distance.
And, like, tries to, like, collect himself mid-sentence.
Girl, we're over here, girl.
Those who were at the ranch tend to share a bond. So maybe like going through war together or something, you know, you share a bond of having gone through an extremely intense experience where you relate to each other with a very, very deep connection and bond that's really sort of beyond family.
He says something that blows my mind. He was like, I was born in the best place and the best time of all time.
Yeah.
He says the United States in the 40s. You want to know who had rights in the United States in the 40s? Dudes that look like him and nobody else.
That's exactly
Women,
right.
people of color, gay. There was no civil rights.
There were no gays. Like, gays didn't exist. Gays weren't a real thing back then.
I asked Mike, I was like, how bad was it really? Like, for someone to say this, because Mike is always my go-to. He was like, lynchings were still happening, girl. Like, it was bad.
For the record, Mike is not 9,000 years old. Mike was not living, like, his prime in the 40s.
No. Super Hot Husband Mike is just incredibly smart and is a history buff. He everything Ken Burns ever made, he's watched and read the books about. You know, like, he's so good at this. I just love the
idea that the listeners all of a sudden have this image of Super Hot Husband Mike as
like
being
in my
a 90-year-old man.
Nope. He's just super smart and super hot.
Yeah.
So then Sheila's like, now his popularity is really rising. He's publishing books. He's filling up stadiums with like 30,000 people.
And one of the main differences, I will say, like between this and like Holy Hell or whatever, like that cult, is that like this cult was really attracting what she calls the cream of society.
Bhagwan didn't want people who were coming for mental entertainment. He wanted people who can support a community.
We amassed in the early days highly trained intellectuals, doctors, lawyers, city planners. I mean, our vision was to create a community that could be used as an example for what was possible in the world.
So like this high-powered LA lawyers, city planners, the people, like intellectuals that they are really going to need and they're going to use when it comes to like establishing their own city.
Right. And then we hear him speak.
I'm not special in any sense. I'm not claiming that I am the son of God. I'm simply saying one thing, that I was asleep, now I am awake. You are asleep, and you can be awake also.
He has this thing that he does when he speaks where at first it starts with the S's.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, I am not special in any sense. I'm not claiming I am the son of God. I don't know what that is.
I know.
But he adds SH to the end of his sentences. And it's like, am I being hypnotized? Like, what are you doing? And he's doing like this. He was like, we will gather millions more. I'm like, this is a hypnotized thing.
We should mention now, basically, at this point in the movie, we're on the ashram, which is like the place where they all live in India. In the middle of like super poor, super chaotic, super loud India, there's just like what they describe as an oasis, which is where he lives and all of his like subjects live.
Right.
It was really peaceful. It was very green, lush green. It was a real oasis.
There's lots of trees, these beautiful old trees full of parrots, like thousands of parrots. And all of these people, a sea of people walking, wearing maroon robes. But it was a very gentle movement, people talking to people sitting and having a cup of tea, people hugging. I just wanted to be there.
People were leaving their whole lives in the States or wherever they were to do this. They dropped everything or convinced their poor families to go with them. Like they picked up and moved to India to live with this dude.
Exactly.
Then we just get a little sprinkling of this. We'll come back to it. But we get a little sprinkling where it's like, hey, you can be spiritual and sexual.
Now there are two ways. Either repress sex as it has been done by all the so-called religious traditions of the world, or transform it. I am for transformation.
He's not wrong, but it's super creepy.
It's super creepy, and they make the point that this is different than what other, like, what we would call cult leaders, like, are talking about at the time. When you think, again, about, like, Holy Hell, the idea was they all had to be celibate, they couldn't be sexual. Remember, it was that whole, like, repressed sexuality thing?
Right, and then all the abuse was happening behind closed doors.
Exactly, and so this is the opposite, where it's like, come fuck your brains out.
Right, and, like, you'll be a better person. You'll do better for what we want.
Whatsoever you do it with great creativeness. Bring something new into existence, and your sex will be fulfilled on a higher plane.
So now here's another word. Here's another, like, for our glossary at home. Right now they're calling his followers sannyasins. So you're going to hear that word in something.
I could barely keep track of any of that.
Right.
So, like, one of the big turning points is, like, Sheela is realizing that if this group is going to expand and really, like, basically take over the planet the way that she wants them to, they need money.
Right.
We needed housing. We needed to buy new land. And I come up with the idea. Here is at least 4,000 sannyasins. And they can loan us the money.
And Sheila's just like, look, the meditation is what brings in the money, right?
Yeah. And the whole thing is that, like, the people who were doing the meditation were, like, the Europeans and the American idiots who just, like, basically came over and were like, sure, here's all of our money.
Is American Idiot going to be our palate cleanser?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Right? right?
American Idiot for the palate cleanser today, you guys.
So then she's like, look, these whatever. I don't have time for this shit. I want to work. Like, I don't have time to sit and meditate, girl.
Right.
Like, I have to make this paper.
Exactly.
I was not a meditator. I don't have interest in this. It's not my cup of tea. I like working. But it was not a conflict between me and Bhagwan. I knew his marketing ability. I knew how to create an organization.
She's not saying this word, but Sheila's building a brand.
Yes, totally.
She will never say that word.
Yes.
But that's exactly what she's doing. She doesn't have time for your shit or meditation.
Is she on Twitter? I bet her Twitter would be out of control.
She's in hiding.
I guess you could track that shit, huh?
I guess. I gotta look her up, though.
I know.
And we set up overnight a little bank with card system. It was definitely a big cash flow. We were floating several $100,000. And that's a lot of money for India.
Everyone is talking about how Sheela was super charming and she knew how to turn it on and talk to people and get what she wanted based on who she was speaking with. Like, she was a genius in how she worked.
Right.
Marjorie Deal, not a genius. Well, then we meet Lakshmi.
Yeah.
Lakshmi was the Sheela before Sheela. Right. So Lakshmi's being described as like the personal secretary. And I'm like, I thought she... Oh,
shit.
So what happens is that like Sheela starts off as Lakshmi's assistant.
Again, you guys, this movie is The Devil Wears Prada. It's from start to finish.
Yes.
Why is nobody ready?
Yeah. Why is
terrible.
no one ready?
Oh my God, it's so terrifying.
That's all.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all. So the Bhagwan wants to create a Buddha field like the Holy Hell people.
Buddha field? I didn't know that was like an actual thing. I thought that like the crazy guy from Holy Hell made it up.
I agree with you, and I looked it up. And the only thing was Holy Hell that came up.
Right. So they were called the Buddha field.
Right. The booty field, right? Because they were all having sex with each other.
Bhagwan wanted to create a new commune, a Buddha field. This Buddha field was a promised land.
This will be the first sannyasin city. Within 5 years, 50,000 sannyasins will be there. And within 10 years, 100,000 sannyasins will be there.
So he sends Lakshmi all over India looking for a place.
And literally don't come back without a contract signed.
Right. Because Lakshmi's coming back with nothing.
Right.
She's doing a really bad job.
Lakshmi's batting zero. And Sheela, you know that Sheila's just sitting in the corner.
Waiting.
Yeah.
Waiting in the wings.
Totally.
So the Bhagwan calls in Sheela to basically like talk shit about Lakshmi and what a terrible job she's doing.
And he asked me, what do you think about Lakshmi? I said to Bhagwan, I don't see a good hope there. Lakshmi was not capable of organizing a land for him.
And Sheila's like, she can't do it. I can. Give me the job. Give me the job. Give me the job. And he's like, okay.
He put his hand on my head. I just looked at him, tears rolling from my eyes. And then he says, Sheela, you are my new secretary.
That's
what
happens.
happened to Lakshmi? Like, I'm Lakshmi, girl, call us.
Hashtag where's Lakshmi?
Lakshmi, I'm worried about you. I'm sure you're fine.
Right.
Hashtag call us.
Call us.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Blink twice if you need help. So basically, the way Sheela wins this job, other than steamrolling it and just demanding she have it, she suggests America. America is the place to do this thing because she thinks that they'll be protected by the Constitution.
Right. We all do, girl. It doesn't always work out that way.
Right. She's like, well, the Constitution will let us do whatever the fuck we want.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And the Bhagwan's like this all-knowing, powerful guy. He's like, yes, you get the job. Let's kill Lakshmi or whatever, or throw her to the forest, and let's all get the hell out of here.
She's been tied to a tree for 45
Lakshmi,
years.
she's been eating bugs, the poor thing.
And the next thing says, okay, look for a place in America.
So now we get some more backstory from Sheela, and we learn that in 1968, Sheela actually went to Montclair State University in Jersey. So we hear this very sad story about how she met and fell in love with her husband, Mark.
Well, and she brings the hot husband into the cult as well.
Right. And his health really deteriorates and he ends up dying. But she really, truly loved this man.
I was totally sobbing when she was telling the story. Like, it's a very, very sad story.
There are really amazing pictures of them laughing. He made her laugh until her stomach hurt.
And he was beautiful and
Yeah.
young, and it's just so awful when that shit happens.
So when he dies, Bhagwan tells these doctors, in air quotes, to put Sheela to sleep for 3 days.
They like induce a coma.
When I woke up after 3 days, he says, this chapter is finished. Now you bury yourself in the work.
And then she's asleep for 3 days. And when she wakes up, he's like, that was your mourning process?
Yeah.
Now you got to go back to work. Like, you cannot mourn this man.
No.
Like, don't waste any time on that bullshit.
How fucking traumatic is that?
You don't process shit when you're in a coma?
You got a 3 days like induced coma and you wake up and you're over it?
And she's like, okay, that sounds
Sociopath
excellent.
Sheila's like, actually, that works great for me.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't have time,
Totally.
really. I got to get to work. Let's make that paper. So now we cut back to India in 1980. And Osho, the head weirdo, has now gone into silence and hiding. So all of these people who picked up their lives from in Kansas to wherever were like, I'm sorry. I broke up my family to be here. And now you're not only not speaking, but you're just in hiding in the woods. Great. Thanks a lot.
Ooh, you guys, the bell makes its debut in the episode.
I know.
But this is what I also thought was so insane, that they literally watch him get in his armored Rolls Royce.
You guys.
Somebody's going to have to explain this whole... Who falls for this? But they watch him get into his fucking Rolls Royce and leave, and they just stand there.
And the next thing, the gate opened, and Bhagwan's white armored Rolls Royce drove out of the gate, down the driveway, and out of the ashram gate. In the 4 years I was in India, he had never, ever gone out of the ashram. And suddenly he was gone.
No explanation. That's just it. He's just gone forever.
So now when he's in, quote, hiding, what they're doing secretly, the Bhagwan and Sheela are like secretly going to the United States to like scope out where she thinks this new cult should be.
Yes.
And no one in the cult is allowed to know. So they're just standing there for days and weeks being like, is he coming back? Is someone going to tell us what to do? The crazy thing is he like lands in Port Antelope, Oregon, and everyone's like, what is happening?
Right.
But like the BBC picks it up, the LA Times.
Yeah.
So the rest of the cult in India is finding out where he is through the media.
Right.
So the lawyer who won't stop crying picks up the phone and is like, hey, can you connect me to that cult in Oregon? And they're like, yeah, sure.
They knew exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's not a joke. That's exactly what happens. Hi, excuse me, bring. Can I please talk to the cult in Oregon? And they're like, absolutely.
Sure, hold one moment,
KL5, whatever. So, like, everyone knew what he was and what he was doing. He was even in the Oregon paper.
Yeah.
Like, super rich dude buys ranch.
Totally.
So the lawyer, like, offers up his lawyer services, and she was like, get your ass to Oregon. Like, didn't even let him finish the sentence.
Right.
Because she knows, like, we're going to need a lawyer.
Right.
Constitution or not, shit's going to go down. We're going to need some representation. And then it ends with her saying, like, operas at the end are always tragic. Okay. That's how we end episode 1 of Wild Wild Country.
All right, girl. Episode 2.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Part 2. That's it.
Really creative.
Sheila named these episodes. She doesn't have any time for any creativity. No, it's part 2. Get over it. We're moving on.
Well, the first person we see is this guy, the U.S. Attorney Robert Weaver, and he says, in moving the ashram lock, stock, and barrel, they committed thousands of felonies.
This was not motivated by greed. This was evil.
This is evil.
Yeah.
Like, he thinks, his point of view is that this is all completely premeditated, no pun intended, to just do horrible crimes.
Right. So basically, the first 15 minutes of this episode is them seeing all of the Rajneeshis. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
You see them coming to this Antelope town. And they're building out their town. It's unbelievable to watch. Remember, this was that uninhabitable 80,000 acres that all of a sudden they're turning into like the world's greatest farming community.
Right. And Sheila's basically like in The Lion King, where she's like, everything the light touches is our kingdom.
It was size of a Manhattan. 63,000 acres. They told me, look as far as you can see, that everything you can see belonged to you.
So what Sheila discovers is that you need 150 people to actually be a city. So she gets 150 people.
154.
154,
Yep.
because just in case
Yeah.
she poisoned somebody and they die. It doesn't matter. So that's what you need to self-govern.
A city was going to be needed. The community itself could issue its own building permits, could have its own law enforcement. It could be independent.
It's kind of genius.
Yeah.
Why doesn't everybody do this?
Because it's hard fucking work.
Yeah, that's true.
As we'll see.
I was just thinking about like a little gay town somewhere, establishing our own laws and jurisdictions, and then I was like, girl, that town would be called Happy Hour and nobody
Yeah,
would.
and nothing would
Happy
get
Hour,
done.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, just go to P-Town.
Exactly.
Whatever. So they create the city of Rajneeshpuram literally from the ground up.
It's kind of amazing though. Like Sheila, as we start to see like the video of them building this community, she's
Yeah.
like, we have no time for the lazy people or the meditators.
Yeah, she's like, we can meditate later, you goddamn hippies. Get to work. Get to work. You get a 15-minute lunch break. Maybe you don't even need it.
Every 3 days.
We had a job ahead of us. Lazy people we don't want. Meditators, later priority. Now is the time for work.
And we hear all these stories about how like these people are working 29 hours a day.
They loved it.
They're so happy.
They loved it.
We get it. You guys like to work. We get it.
It's really, you can't take that away from them, though, that they built
Totally.
a city. I mean, you guys, we're talking irrigation, infrastructure,
Yes.
everything
Farming,
you need.
solar panels.
We built our own electric power that would be sufficient for 10,000 people.
Put in plumbing, pipes going all over the ranch.
There was a huge push to put in roads.
Like, they didn't just, like, set up shop with, like a shack. I'm telling
Right.
you guys, they were building the stadium for
Yeah.
him to speak to 20,000 people. They built all of it with electrical and plumbing. Like, I can't stress it enough.
They built like meditation studios, and I feel like Sheila would just walk by it and spit on them.
Are you done with the meditation? Get back to work, you goddamn hippies.
And it's true. The lawyer that won't stop crying, who was like, at one point in his life was so filled with rage that he had to like quit and go meditate for a living.
Right, no, he's super stable though. Super stable.
This is not a guy I would trust to babysit my child. He's talking about how like the animals came back.
We were literally turning the desert green. And as it was recovered, wildlife were coming back because it was being rebuilt.
And when they show the footage of the animals, it is like basically from Snow White. It's like animation almost of like deer and bluebirds.
Chipmunks and peacocks and all this.
Decorating Christmas trees.
Yeah.
And like flying in banners that say, welcome to Rajneesh Town.
Yeah, like 3 bluebirds holding up Sheila's robe as she walks by. Get back to work, you goddamn hippies. But they had like a bank, a pizza place.
It's
an actual city. I feel like they're going to be like, you guys, we get it. It's an actual city. They built an airport and a dam.
Airport. I know. It's unreal.
Because it sounds like hyperbole when I'm like, oh, they built a city. No, you
know.
guys, it's the city of Rajneeshpuram. Get into it. Well, Sheila, because of all this, she wants a goddamn Nobel Prize, is what she wants.
We brought back nature. We make this land alive with our sweat and our hard work. They should have offered us a Nobel Prize.
This is where my take on this gets a little bit controversial because I have like in all big red letters, back to the ranchers. Now, these people who in the beginning seemed perfectly rational to me, like, of course, you don't want these like weirdos coming into your town and messing it up. Like, all of a sudden, they seem kind of super close-minded, and to me, they seem a little bit like completely scared of the other. And they even say that.
Well, it's new to me. I don't know nothing about it, so I just worry about the unknown.
They're strangers to us, and their mode of living is different than we're accustomed to. We're really not ready for them because it's been a sleepy little town, retirement town, and too much activity.
I think everybody should go through down there and see just what they're doing. And as far as I'm concerned, they're not doing this country any good.
These people really haven't done anything at this point to like make you feel threatened. Why do you feel threatened? They're just here.
Yeah.
I mean, they're crazy. Don't get me wrong. And I think that they are probably like weirdos, but I don't know. Like, and even the district attorney, the U.S. attorney, whatever, one of these fancy attorney people is like, guys, we can't really help you at this point.
Can we talk about when the Bhagwan actually arrives?
Oh, yeah.
He arrives. Everyone is freaking out. Again, Devil Wears Prada. They're scrubbing every surface. They're flying in peacocks from wherever.
Gird your loins, you guys.
Yeah, we just need... We're Stanley Tucci up in here.
I know, girl.
Did someone eat an onion bagel?
I felt like a newly married bride preparing to receive her husband on a first night. We rolled out 4,000 square feet of green lawn carpets around his house. And the people at the ranch who are preparing, they want to make sure it is spotless.
And Sheila's like, it was like a beautiful Fellini movie. And Sheila is talking about how it's heaven on earth. And the minute she says like how gorgeous and perfect it is, the documentary music turns ominous AF.
It was like a beautiful Fellini movie.
And you're like, what is happening? And then, but what he does is he comes back and he just sits there. In silence, and they're all watching, like on the edge of their seats, which is really just dirt because they're all on the floor, on the ground. And he's just sitting there, just going, shh. That's it. They're just staring silently.
So the lawyer that won't stop crying, when he's talking about how like how the ranchers in the town just hated them,
yeah,
and he's just like, these are conservative Christian people. When they get scared, they get tight.
Yeah, girl. Okay, all right. We got to put explicit on our podcast now for that line.
Yeah,
girl.
exactly.
But he's also like, okay, fine. So we steamrolled and built a new city out of nowhere. Okay, sure, we just dance in the middle of the street for no reason and give weird looks. And fine, we're a sex cult. But like, why are they persecuting us? Like, why these people just can't hang, you know? Like, fine, we're just like totally taking over their town with no warning. And like, fine, we're a sex cult. But like, they just can't, they're just not cool.
Fine, we're a sex cult is my favorite line.
Fine,
that's what we should call our first album.
Fine, we're a sex cult, the Jillian and Patrick story. So now Margaret Hill is the mayor of Antelope, and she doesn't really have time for your shit, but Sheila's like, who's this one? Amateur. So it's like poor Margaret Hill has to go up against an actual evil genius named Sheila. Take notes, Marjorie Deal.
The position of mayor in Antelope was just who got stuck with it. It passed through everybody because there was nothing happening in Antelope.
It just happened that Margaret Hill happened to be in the hot seat when all this nonsense started.
When they first came, they were truly welcome to the community. But basically, it wasn't until they really started throwing their weight around. It's not a pleasant experience at all.
Margaret Hill really is no match for Sheila.
No, and nobody is.
No.
I'm terrified of her. She's in my closet with Rachel from Jesus Camp and all the other crazy people that are coming to get me, and all the roaches, because it is personal. Yeah. And basically they thought that these like townspeople were just a bunch of hick dummies who like didn't know any better and that they could get away with all of this shit.
You guys, spoiler, they get away with all this shit.
Well,
I don't think the townspeople are yokels as they call themselves.
I know.
But like you guys, you're outnumbered. Like they win.
Yeah, there's thousands of them and they're 100% in whatever this cult is.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's no like
the worst thing you could have done is cross them. Like that's the worst thing you could have done.
Oh yeah, because Sheila's like, oh, are we doing this?
And Sheila just wants
fucking
to fight.
Finally, someone's coming for me.
I know.
Like, she's been waiting for this like a boxer stretching in the corner of the ring. Is this when the lawyer who won't stop crying is like, the press keeps calling us a cult. They keep saying, we're just people in the desert, man. Sure, fine, we're a sex cult, man, but don't use that word. We just want to live in the desert, man. It's like, he was like, well, the description in the press is more applicable to the United States Army. That's the establishment, man.
Then what happens?
Oh, God.
Okay.
I hate
I
it.
love when me and you take almost the exact same notes, so we know exactly what the other
I know
one's
what's
going to
coming.
say. But the next thing, you guys, there's a movie about this sex cult. It's called Ashram in Pune. Ashram in Pune, whatever it is. That sounds super sexual, by the way.
Yeah, Ashram was like what they called the cult then because they changed their name every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was in Pune, India. They describe it was released in 1981, and they described that it was filmed by a young German director who was a sympathizer of the cult. His name is Wolfgang something.
Whatever.
So he takes a hidden camera into one of those dynamic meditation therapy sessions.
And this is basically what the movie is.
It is so, and Jane, the boring Australian, is
Yeah.
like, just to be clear, in those early days, like everything was kind of allowed.
Yes, yeah.
She makes that little justification, but it's bullshit. That what you are about to, if you saw the documentary already, the spoiler means nothing because
Yes,
you've been
exactly,
traumatized, as we have both been. So they play this movie in Oregon, like at the movie theater that's next to the bank, that's next to the post office, and this tiny sleepy town with 50 people in it. Can you imagine?
Which is next to the cult with 10,000 people in it.
Right. And so so these poor people like go to the movie theater and sit down and like they want to know what's happening right next door. And girl,
I know. And we even get the warning from one of the newscasters who's like, it's from the BBC.
What follows is unpleasant to watch. Nothing's been added for effect or sensation. I went to India to see for myself, and this is what I found.
This is unedited, and this is upsetting to watch. And actually, it is upsetting to watch.
Okay, so you'll hear it.
Yeah, I'm going to play it right now. You're going to hear it under Jillian talking.
So that's screaming, right? Screaming and hooting and hollering. Are you ready for the Garbage Minute?
Yes. Give it to me.
This week's Garbage Minute is brought to you by the film Ashram in Pune. They're all naked. They're in one very small room. They're all on top of each other. It's so violent and so horrible. And there is a moment where there's a naked woman and a guy in the orange robe.
Yeah.
And he flips her over and starts violently either simulating rape. I can't tell what it is. I'm
Thank God.
hoping
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
hoping it's simulated. Still horrifying. Still garbage. Still ultimate garbage. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It was awful. It's like the messiest group sex ever, but everything is very sexual and violent and horrible. So then after this messiest, most violent group sex, consensual not, I don't know, ever, then, because it's the 4 stages that Boring Jane talked about.
Yes.
So then, silence.
Yes.
Crickets. Then, they're just dancing a disco and everyone's still naked. All right. And all I can think about is these poor senior citizens from Antelope, Oregon, who took themselves out for a night at the movies to see what exactly it has come to their town.
There's our Garbage Minute.
Yep.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
So now these people are a little less judgy because it's like all their worst fears times a zillion of what is happening in the desert is true.
Right.
Like everything, it's like worse than they ever could have imagined. The fear of the unknown was at the movie theater in living color.
Which is so crazy, but okay.
Yeah, whatever, man. So we meet this guy whose family literally started the town of Antelope, like the cult started the city of Rajneeshpuram.
When you see the pictures of it, it's like right out of Parks and Rec, like old Pawnee or like a Christopher Guest movie, but this is actually real.
It's actually real.
Yeah.
So the guy's name is Bill Bowerman. He had an insane life. He was in the military. Then he he started the Olympic track team. He was the Olympic track coach. And then he retires. He was like in the Olympics for Munich. It was ridiculous. Then he retires. And then he's like, I'm kind of bored. The dude invents Nike.
You guys, he's like the co-founder of Nike.
He is the guy who invented the sneakers you're wearing right now with the waffle like sole. He did that because he was like a track pro, and he's like, none of these sneakers are good enough. I'm just going to start Nike.
Right.
So he has a lot of money, is the point.
Shit ton.
Yeah. So he recruits this group called the 1,000 Friends of Oregon.
Yeah. And basically, it's like this legal organization that is like just trying to throw these Rajneeshis out of Oregon. They're looking for any loophole.
In the courts, we took the position that farmland is for farming, ranch land is for ranching. They're not for cities. I said we will come in and seek action to require you to remove those buildings because they were never legally built.
Yeah, because like technically, like that's a ranch. You can't build a bank on a ranch. Like that's what they're trying to do. So the Nike money is financing this whole takedown of the cult. And Sheila's like, I will paint the bulldozers with my blood.
1,000 Friends of Oregon says that their intention is to see this place dismantled.
Good,
So
they can
many
come.
ways.
They're most welcome. I'll be right on the road. They need to drive over me. It's their choice. I will paint their bulldozers with my blood. And I'll be proud to be under those bulldozers.
Sheila's ready to go. Sheila's like, what took you so long, pals? Let's do this.
This is literally the fight that Sheila's been waiting for her whole life.
Oh, yeah. She's like, if they don't know I'm down for this, they're idiots. She actually calls them idiots. She's like, these people are stupid if they think like this is going to scare me. Amateur hour, let's go.
And because she says, like, you guys, when there are 10,000 to 50, you're outnumbered. And Sheila just says, if you don't find the little loopholes in the law, it's your loss.
Sheila.
The Welcome to Leith people took, like, right from Sheila's playbook.
Absolutely.
Because basically what they do is they're like, fine, bitches, we're going to buy up everything in your little town.
Yeah. And then we get this, like, talking head of the reporter. She's like, the head of this whole operation, Sheila Silverman. Her name is Sheila Silverman? She doesn't go by any Rajneesh Puram? Sheila Silverman? All right, whatever.
The chief of this outfit, Sheila Silverman, is accustomed to getting what she wants. And if she can't have her own city here on the Muddy Ranch, she's determined to buy the next best thing, the city of Antelope.
We started buying the properties in Antelope to secure our existence as a city. And we took over.
The thing is, a lot of the homes were for sale in Antelope.
Right.
A lot of things were for sale because people didn't have a lot of money and they would sell
And
stuff
no
for
one's
super cheap.
buying, right.
Right, because no one else lives there. Everyone who is in Antelope is going to just be there. No one, like, moves to Antelope except this cult.
And they buy
Here's
the
the money.
cafe. They buy that downtown cafe. They change the name of it to Zorba the Buddha.
And the reporter's like, now it's bananas, not bacon, seen on the grill. And then this male reporter's like, in the old days, this kind of thing would have been solved with a shootout. Girl!
In other national news, Antelope, Oregon, town out west where old-timers and newcomers are locked in the kind of feud that used to be settled with a shootout.
This is where it starts to come to a head, you guys, because
Yeah.
everyone's handling this wrong. Everyone is showing too much of their cards, being a little too aggressive. So the locals are mad. And they were really thinking clearly, and they just start carrying guns and getting, like, they're trying to fight fire with fire. And so, like, the angrier they got, the more Sheila and the cult pushed back. And the more the cult pushed back, the more violent these people wanted to get.
Yeah.
And now they're all harassing each other. And the Rajneesh would just go around and photograph and videotape everything.
You guys, there's just one insane shot of, like, the local ranchers walking around, and they're like, you know, they were spying on us from their helicopter. Cuts to a shot of the Rajneeshis in a helicopter. They have a helicopter.
Yeah.
Like, these people had so much money.
Right. And then, like, the people who wouldn't sell them their homes, they'd show up to their houses at night and, like, shine flashlights
Yeah.
in their windows, which is terrifying
Totally.
and actual harassment, and, like, add that to the list of thousands and thousands of crimes.
Right.
So now the people of Antelope tried to disincorporate their city.
Antelope, Oregon. It's about to be taken over by an Indian guru and his followers, and the townspeople, who don't like this idea at all, have decided that having no town at all is a better alternative.
Caught between the Rajneesh Foundation and 1,000 Friends of Oregon are the residents of tiny Antelope. Their only defense, they decided, is to commit municipal suicide rather than let the religious followers take over their city government.
So what happens here is that, like, the Rajneeshis are not just trying to buy up the land, they're trying to, like, Welcome to Leith style, get on the city council and then run the city government.
Right.
So the existing city government decides they're just going to disincorporate.
Right.
Meaning they're going to, like, dissolve their town so there's no town for these people to run.
Exactly. And so the Rajneeshis, they flood the town with the votes.
Yeah.
They keep it intact. And the final tally is, these numbers are so sad because
Yeah.
it's like 52 to 44. The Rajneeshis won. And it's covered on national news that morning. Like, where the hell were we?
Right, I know.
That this was national news, that there was some cult in Oregon. Like, what is happening?
It's so insane.
So the lawyer who won't stop crying stops crying to laugh at the locals.
You know, I thought it was hilarious because we were accused of using the system of government we call representative democracy to protect ourselves from being destroyed by those who wanted to destroy us. And for that, we were pilloried for having this horrible takeover of this small community by the red people.
They have a sign that says, like, welcome to the city of Rajneeshi, welcome to you. Okay, let's just say welcome to the city. So now Sheela has this like feeling something is going terribly wrong. I wonder what it is. What it is that at 1:19 in the morning, they bombed this hotel that the Rajneeshis had in Portland because now they're expanding.
Right.
And they built a hotel probably from nothing.
Yeah.
In Portland, and that's being bombed.
This is the kind of thing we've expected. We've expected it because of the kind of bigotry, the kind of inflammatory things that have been happening. We didn't expect it so soon, but we did expect sometime there would be bloodshed.
Rajneesh and his disciples have been threatened a number of times since their arrival in Oregon 2 years ago. They say this latest action will not force them to leave.
Now it's a perfect thing for Sheela to be like, see what's happening? They're bombing us. Like,
if
they just
we
took
don't
it too
protect
far.
ourselves, nobody's going to.
They took it too far.
Yeah.
That's when we went out and bought weapons in ranch. But if you didn't feel that way about your children, your community, your master, it would be pathetic.
The episode ends and I'm like, where the hell is Bhagwan? What are you doing? Who are you doing this for?
That's what I was thinking too.
He wasn't there.
Where is he? Do we know where he is?
It's all for Sheela, man.
Yeah.
Sheela has taken over.
Sheela, girl. I'm
Sheela.
obsessed with Sheela. I mean, like, don't kill people, though. Girl, we got through episodes 1 and 2 of Wild Wild Country.
I know.
You guys, next week's episodes 3 and 4.
Let's do it.
We're not going to play the trailer for that because it's just one trailer for the whole series.
Yeah.
So no trailer this week.
Yeah, and you guys have been really wanting us to do it, so I feel like you've all seen it. Or at least seen the trailer. I think you know what's up.
You guys, don't forget, if you want all of the fab bonus content, including our staircase and serial and all of our interviews and everything that's coming up, we're dropping like twice weekly bonus things.
Yep.
Find us at patreon.com/truecrimeobsessed or go to our website and click on the Patreon link. Get in there, you guys. Get in the party. It's
I mean,
super
oh my
fun.
God, it's so much fun. And the website is truecrimeobsessed.com. So that's the link to the Patreon if you don't want to go to patreon.com/truecrimeobsessed. And our calendar. And we're doing like a whole overhaul of the website.
Yeah, the website, we're in the middle of the overhaul now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's coming along.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And follow us on Twitter at truecrimeobsessed.
You guys, also the Facebook group.
The
True Crime Obsessed podcast discussion
I feel
group.
like that's a given.
I know. I live in that group. I'm in that group every single day.
I know.
I love it.
It's the best.
Where can people find you, girl?
At Jillian with a G. Just across the board.
I'm at Patrick Hines _ on the Instagram, at Patrick Hines on the Twitter. Don't forget to check out the pinned posts on our Facebook and Twitter pages for the links to tickets to our live shows. And don't forget to stay tuned after the palate cleanser for a little clip from episode 3 of The Staircase. You guys, this week's palate cleanser, as Jillian decided earlier, it's perfect.
Well, you said it.
I know. The Broadway cast of American Idiot, one of my favorite Broadway shows.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. What's up, John Gallagher? How you doing?
I'm obsessed with him.
How you doing, girl?
Bye, you guys. Love you. Bye.
Bye. Love you.
See you next week. Bye. Yeah.
There are 800 of them on me.
One time, this is not a joke, when I lived in Jersey City and I was taking the bus into the city one day, I had put a long sleeve shirt on.
No.
And
No.
I was sitting there on the bus and a cockroach.
No. Podcast is over. No. I'm going to have nightmares. I used to talk about cockroaches in therapy.
I know.
I couldn't say the word for years.
I love that you have the same
real.
cockroach thing as me.
There's so many on me. Oh, God. And it's so personal. It's when they come at you, it's so personal. Oh, God.
For some reason, the rats don't bother me. I'm not bothered by rats.
When they come out of like the corner and they make that noise, like, but I'm the same. I'd rather a rodent than vermin.
Yeah. Yes, 100%.
Right?
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
Everyone is screaming and jumping during this meditation. They're all naked. Some of them are in robes. They're in a very small room.
Yes.
It must smell to high heaven in there. With the violence. Enough.
I wrote that out because I was like, I need Judy. I just called you Judy.
Okay. Garbage bell for you.
And his story is that he had a friend who came back from India and they went into the woods and I feel like got a little gay. I'm just saying, it sounded a little gay.
Probably. The Bhagwan was modern and hip. All right. No, he wasn't.
Modern? You guys, he literally dresses like Jesus. She's saying that he taught us that we don't have to isolate. We should be part of the marketplace. And I had this image of Sheela dinging the bell on Wall Street.
Yes, absolutely.
Sheela talks with dollar signs in her eyes at all times.
At all time. You're a big dollar sign to her.
Exactly. But skinny.
Oh,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
skinny dollar
Like
sign.
a very skinny, like there's only one line through the S.
Exactly, because that's all it can fit.
That's all it can fit.
Did you try to live on your own? When you burned down the house at home? Did you stand too close to the fire like a liar looking for forgiveness? From a storm when it's time to live and let die, and you can't get another try. Something inside this heart has died. You're in ruins. Nobody likes you. Everyone left you. They're all out without you, having fun.
Patty is...
Patty Peterson, Michael's first wife, who still lives in Germany.
She's out of central casting. They were like, we need one of those like scarf wearing American women who'd move to Germany and then be super elitist about it. That's her. If that was on a breakdown in any casting house, it would be like, we just need a super elitist woman who moved to Germany, and then like had an American woman who moved to Germany, had a weirdly British accent, like they do, like they all do. Madonna, I'm looking at you, girl. Wears sunglasses all the time, scarves for days, and who spoke in such a way. I laughed so hard. This is when it really, she really brings it home. So I don't know what the hell she's even talking about, but she's like, well, I remember that day just as if it was yesterday with my dear friend. He came to collect the automobile.
I know, it's hard to get through it. It's hard to
I don't know if I can look at you for it. He came to collect the automobile keys. And then he drove back here in the automobile, and Liz would have been in her automobile. And then when we American teachers need automobile repair work, one of us drives, and then a friend collects us and brings us home in the other automobile, and then we wait the allotted amount of days, and then we get dropped off in their automobile to pick up our automobile.
He came to collect the automobile keys. He drove back here in the automobile. Liz would have been in her automobile. We American teachers have the custom over here, if we need to have automobile repair work done, one drives, a friend collects.
What is she talking about? I rewound it like 30 times. I do not know the story that she's telling.
First of all, it's a car. Patty, enough. And she's acting. She's like, we American teachers here in Germany have this funny thing we do where when we need our automobile repaired. What she's describing is anyone, look, I'm in New York, I don't have a car, I don't know anything about them, but what she's describing is like what everyone else in America or in the world does. If you need your car fixed, you get someone to give you a ride, you drop your car off, your friend picks you up, and then you wait, and then you get a ride or you call a cab or whatever. But she's acting like this is what we American teachers in Germany do. And it doesn't matter what your occupation is, it doesn't matter where you are, your nationality. She's acting like this one specific pocket of people. Says automobile 11 times in 4 seconds. He went to the automobile, and she had the automobile, and then I had the automobile. The automobile.